morning, good evening, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to round 2 of the women's series of the Zwift Grand Prix. And we kicked off round 1 with the parkour pickers. Coming up now in round 2 is a format that we're going to get very familiar with over the next few months because it's being used in the Continental Qualifiers as well as the World Championships in a couple of variations. But today's variation is the Team Elimination Omnium. Once again, we are bringing you innovative formats for virtual racing, which will challenge the riders to their absolute max. We're going to bring the Jeopardy right from the pens, and it's going to make it super fun for you to watch from home.
That's right, Nathan. I am incredibly excited about this new format. We have 3 races today. They'll be run back to back to back to make up the entire event. We're going to be reducing from 60 to 30 down to 10 riders. What's really critical is the concept that's being added here of the golden ticket. The golden ticket will be decided in bonus sectors where a few riders will have a chance to receive this ticket and advance automatically into the next round of racing. Receiving the golden ticket is going to be critical for success out here today.
Now, maybe you didn't catch the last few weeks of racing and you're wondering what exactly is the Zwift Grand Prix? This is a new series from Zwift that takes in 6 rounds of racing in the regular series, and it's going to culminate in a grand finale in March of 2023. Each week of racing is going to bring you a brand new format. These have never been seen before in cycling, with the aim of bringing the excitement of esports to this new cycling discipline.
We've already seen the tactics leveling up. The strategies become much more intense out there. The racing has just been incredibly dynamic, and we're really looking forward to the future. A big part of that is the gladiators that we've got competing with us. We have 24 teams, 12 men and 12 women. These are the best esports athletes on the planet, and we really appreciate their vital feedback that's helping drive esports in the direction of the racing forward.
Now, each round is going to feature the men's racing one week, followed up by the women's racing the next week. And we're going to be focusing a lot more on the teams and the individuals and their head-to-head battles. And it's going to make this e-racing better than ever. Every rider is going to be having to contribute their points to be scored each week that'll accumulate over the season. And that's going to be giving them the ability either to get into the grand finale or not.
And of course, we'd love to have you involved as well out there. So make sure you head on over to Zwift.com/racing to see what's on offer and get out there and race yourself. Or if you've already been racing, we'd love to continue to see you dropping power-ups like a boss. October is a big month in esports as this starts the pathway to the rainbow stripes that are awarded to the 2023 UCI Cycling Esports World Champion. That World Championships is coming up quickly. So head on over again to Zwift.com/racing and see how you can get yourself involved.
Yeah, and it makes a lot of sense that this month and with the upcoming Continental Qualifiers you're talking about there, Dave, that we're using a variation of that today. Let's take a look at what round 2 is all about for the Zwift Grand Prix and get a little bit more familiar with the racing we're going to see.
We're going to get things started at the infamous Richmond 2015 UCI Worlds course. It serves up a lot for the racers to work with out here. You can see the distance at 16.4 kilometers with 129 meters of climbing. That all comes at you in one big bunch there where a lot will be sorted out today. What's going to be critical, we've already highlighted the golden ticket. It will be 5 riders that will receiving that ticket at the Broad Street Sprint. That's going to be critical as the power-ups that come into play. 25% chance, equal chance of receiving the arrow, invisibility, burrito, or draft. Now, the points, this is going to be critical. As we're starting with 60 riders in this field, only half of them will advance. All those riders that advance will be receiving the 20 points that has them in the top 30, and you can see how dramatically the points drop off from there. So we're excited about heading to Richmond for the first race where we start with 60.
Then we're going to be heading on over to the Surrey Hills of London. For round number 2, it's going to be a distance of 14.4 kilometers, 400 meters of elevation. Fox Hill Climb is going to come at them first as they head for that golden ticket across the KO, the Queen of the Mountain. The finish line, though, is going to be over on Leith Hill. It's going to be 11th through 30th awarded 20 to 1 points, and 1st through 10th awarded 21 points. And then it's on over to Crit City.
And we'll arrive at Crit City with 10 riders left as we'll have whittled down this field. It's going to be fast and furious, a 7.7 kilometer course. It's not about the elevation, it's about the sprints, and they'll come at you hot and heavy out here as we'll be eliminating 2 riders per lap until we get down to the final 3. You can see the power-ups that are in play, and ultimately it all gets sorted out on the bell lap in Crit City. Let's get it on.
Let's look at the courses that the teams will be taking on today. Let's take a look at those teams that are going to be racing out on the Zwift Grand Prix round number 2 for the ladies. Heading things up, it is Team Aeonian. Be watching out for them. They've been leading things up so far. Team Aero, Beast Mode presented by Rhodes, Coalition Alpha, Movistar E-Team, Roca Corba Collective, Saris No Pins, Socks for Watts, Team Swedish Zwifters. It's going to be Toyota Cryo RDT, Virginia's Blue Ridge 2024, and Wahoo Lacole. That's a look at the jerseys to be watching for out on course.
So we can take a look at how things are standing after week 1. It's Aeonian on top. It's going to be a big ask to hold on out here today as they're going to be coming for Aeonian with all guns a-blazing. Movistar had a great start to the Zwift Grand Prix, sitting with 18 points there in second. We have a whole new point structure. You might have noticed that has changed, and it's certainly going to make things more exciting as we make our way through the series. Wahoo Lacole is a very dangerous team, and they are poised for a great day today, sitting on 15 points in third. Socks for Watts, they had a nice ride as well last week in the parkour picker as they ended up in fourth. Virginia's Blue Ridge is the team, Nathan, that I'm really watching for today, sitting in fifth, but I'm going to be shocked if they're not in the top 3 after today's action. Team Swedish Swifters, they're sitting in sixth. Beast Mode presented by Rose in seventh. Saris No Pins, that's another team that should have a bullet next to their name, as I expect they have a good day out here today as well. Coalition Alpha looking to better their 9th place. Toyota Cryo RDT, they're sitting in 10th. Now, 2 teams that are looking to get off that goose egg and onto the board will be Roca Corba Collective and the Australian Aero Squad. Good luck to all of our teams out there today.
Let's take a look at the rosters that these teams are going to be bringing. Aeonian are lining up with Ariel Verhaeren, a U.S. Olympic athlete, actually, in the BMX that's transferred over to esports. Barbara Fish is showing up to the line today. Palona Itkin, Vicky Whitelaw, a very well-known time trialist in real life and has been a long-standing esports cyclist. Monali Keller is here as well, probably brought the cookies to the start line.
Well, here's a team that's looking to punch above their weight out here today. There's talented riders on this squad, and they just need to catch a break out here. I'm looking at Rachel Wales to be a rider that certainly will be in the mix. Imogen Alton, Susie Wood, and the German rider. Good to see Fiona Schroeder is out here. This is a team, Nathan, that punches always above their weight.
Beast Mode, presented by Rose. They have brought back one of their top riders, Gabriella Schumann, able to make the start line, and Pia Coomer. Be on the watch out for those two. I know Pia has had an amazing summer of racing in real life. Maria Marb is there as well. Julia Walkenhurst, and it's going to be Alicia Haag that will be making up Beast Mode, presented by Rose for today's Grand Prix.
That really is a dangerous team, no doubt. Here's another dangerous squad, Coalition Alpha, with one of the top climbers in esports, Stephanie Sidlick. Certainly a rider to watch out for. She can make it into the second set in Surrey Hills. Mary Wilkinson, they don't call her Scary Mary for no reason. She is a huge talent. This team is absolutely stacked as Anuska Greenaway adds a nice element of consistency to this squad. One of the best sprinters in esports is Sammy Stewart, and watch out for Katharina Moschner today. That's Coalition.
Movistar E's team, watch out for them. Currently sitting in second place, bringing 4 to the table today, but I have a feeling they're going to really perform with Haley Simmons. It's going to be Marlene Jarhid, Lisa Hermanson, and Mika Soderstrom. We saw Mika with a monster attack in Yorkshire over the top of the Queen of the Mountain. We'll see if she'll be going for a golden ticket in a similar way.
Let's take a look now at Roca Corba, that infamous climb in Spain. And this is the squad. It's Rian Denton. Fee Osterby has been a talented up-and-comer out here. Certainly a threat today is going to be Courtney Webb. I look at Kat Ridgway and Charlie Berry as two more riders that are looking to make their mark here today in the Zwift Grand Prix. That's Roca Corba.
And a well-known team in the pink and white. It's going to be Sars No Pins, and it's being head up by no other than Anna Russell coming out of New Zealand. Eleanor Wiseman is there. One of the number one ranked Zwifters in the world, Liz Van Houweling, showing up today. Watch out for a punch from her. Sarah Morrison and Morgan Yusenia rounding out that roster.
All right, we're going to jump in now for a long-time top squad in esports. Socks for Watts, and it's Goxie Paul. I'd have to say that she, along with Alexi Snover, are going to be impact racers out here today, along with Ms. 14 herself, Katie Loker there. This team doesn't have a weak link. Ruth Shire and Kat Haynes make up a rest of this iconic Socks for Watts squad.
Team Swedish Zwifters, there isn't many teams that are longer standing from the esports world, and it's going to be Anna Svardstrom, Anna Embring, Maria Frisk, Sarah London, and Gabriella Norden. Be on the watch out for Norden on those climbs today. The Swedish Zwifters, the OGs of Zwift racing, showing up to make their mark.
So we're looked at the Toyota Cryo RDT team, and here is an absolute monster to keep your eye on, Charlotte Kolkloff. She's going to be joined today with this Toyota Cryo RDT team by Chiara Doni, Harriet Gilson, Lucy Harris, and the talented in real life rider Ursula Barovskaya. So watch out for Toyota Cryo today.
And then, of course, the well-known Virginia's Blue Ridge 2024 with their standout rider so far in the Zwift Grand Prix, the always well-known Kristen Kolchinski showing up on the line. From in real-life crit racing to the Zwift world, the recent pickup, it's going to be Marlies Mayes showing up as well. Alina Wuyan, Ashley McIntosh, and Marin Lawson is going to be on the line for Virginia Blue Ridge 2024.
In my mind, this team is the biggest threat to take the win here today. It's a murderer's row out here, fresh off the Ironman World Championships. I'm a little surprised to see Lizzie Brooke even able to take the start. It'll be good to have. She'll be an impact rider, no doubt. Lindsay Cassie, Laura Simnick, Catherine Furr has become a huge talent to watch. And, of course, the Canadian Nadia Gantova, who absolutely was ripping in our community and now makes the big jump up into the Grand Prix. Wahoo Lacole in full effect today.
Well, that's a good look at the rosters that the teams are bringing today. As far as the picks go between me and Dave, I am thinking for today, we're going to have Gabriella Schumann making her debut in the Grand Prix, coming back from injury, and I have a feeling that she's going to maybe be wanting to make a move to really get beast mode presented by Rose up on that leaderboard a little bit more, so be on the watch out for her. I also think that a very aggressive rider that's shown up and been new to this whole Grand Prix C has been Lindsay Cassie from Wahoo Lacole, and I really think that she likes it when it goes uphill, and we've got a lot of climbing today, so watch out for her as well, I think, Dave, when it comes to the top picks, when it comes to round number 2 for this Grand Prix. Dave, how about you? What do you think is going to be the all-stars, the standouts today?
I can't look past Kristen Kolchinski, Nathan. I think she's one of the most multi-talented, multi-dimensional esports riders that we've seen in the history of esports. And certainly she's going to make that final group of 10. I expect her to grab a golden ticket along the way as well. I also look at a rider who is a full-time firefighter. I love the backstory with now Continental Pro Sammy Stewart. She's a rider that has just oozing talent right now. She's a sprinter. If she makes it into Crit City, she's going to be absolutely dominant. But she's got to get there first. Nathan, let's go right down to Richmond and jump into the action as the women are just about on course.
As the riders are taking off out on course, the left-hand turn into the streets. They'll be looking to take on one lap of the Richmond UCI 2015 course. A well-known course, Dave. The sting is in the tail, as you would say.
So certainly, Nathan. Lucy Dinan, the world champion on this course, and certainly infamous is a great word for it, as it's a tale of two cities. We're going to go through the city part here, relatively flat in the early going. Nathan, this is all the setup for that golden ticket. 5 riders are going to be looking for that. That has such a huge impact on the dynamic of the racing here. So really, really excited. The women had an awesome opener going back a couple of weeks ago, and now here we are ready for a huge throwdown today. This format, we're honing it down because this is the future, no doubt about it. So everyone together, grupo compacto, as they say.
In the men's racing last week, we did see a couple of attacks for those golden tickets. We'll see if the women will repeat that or keep it cool, as there's so much on the line when it comes to elimination. Are there going to be any risks that are taken here, Dave? Making sure that you make it over the top of the 3 climbs, Libby Hill, 23rd Street, into Governor's Climb, whether or not you can make that top 30 or grab a golden ticket. It's going to be whether or not you make it to the next round. Who's going to be sitting in and thinking more about the point structures and grabbing as much points as they possibly can for their teams, or who's going to be thinking, I want to make it all the way to Crit City, and grabbing those golden quick tickets up front is going to be the first gateway to that.
Yeah, the old saying, how do you eat an elephant? Because that's what it's going to take. Well, it's one bite at a time. And really, the first goal here is make sure that your top 2 sprinters get into that final 10. And that's a ways away here now. And so at this point, Nathan, I would say that this is where I'm going to gamble a little bit. If I mean, you could look at it from a lot of different perspectives, but I'm going to go ahead and look at it from, let's start with Toyota Cryo or a team like Aero. I'm going to send a rider into an attack here. I'm going to stir the pot a little bit and not just wait for, and again, you've got to get over Libby Hill to get to that golden ticket opportunity. 5 riders get that ticket, 30 advance, so you know you're going to be in that 30. And we saw Lionel Viasen, the Duck, last week using his head more than as much as he used his legs, because after he got his golden ticket, he really sat up, Nathan, gave a lot of time to recover, and then he was just a weapon in that final 10, and that was a huge difference maker. So those are the tactics at play. Taking a look now at a little bit of just movement at the front, the washing machine. Roca Corp is another team that I'd like to see attack today and get out in front of it, and that's exactly what we're seeing right now. As this looks like Barry on the move. Barbara Frisch is the Aeonian rider. Aeonian, top team coming into race number 2 of the Grand Prix series. Back to you, Nathan.
Thinking that Barry there, knowing that there was a little bit of an uphill 2% grind, as you can see here. It falls flat as they head their way over toward the cobble sections of Richmond. I think maybe just making sure that she isn't in a bad position if there were any attacks to go. I think a lot of riders that might be looking to cover moves are making sure they're in those first or second wheels at this point. Look at how it is completely spread out, though. Dave, what does it mean when a pack looks like this? This peloton is spread across the road.
So, I mean, it's a great question, because this, to me, means it's a thinking woman's race. Everybody right now is running their supercomputer. The director sportives are thinking about, how are we going to play this one now? They've watched the men. This is Morgan Useni that we're looking at now, another one of the Americans on that Sarah's team. She's a very talented rider. It's going to be fun to see. But Nathan, you're exactly right. The point being that right now, this is a standoff out here. Nobody wants to play their cards early. It's interesting because the golden ticket is a concept that was brand new to us in racing, and I think the teams, to be honest, are still figuring out, Nathan, how they want to work around that golden ticket concept.
Yeah, 100%. Whether or not you go for the golden ticket in order to get involved in the racing later on, or you hold up for the points, is going to be the question. We do see toward the front here, Haley Simmons there from the Movistar E team. Concentration on the face there, bumping it to 4.0 watts per kilogram for just a moment. She's sitting at 3.1, and on the front end of this pack now, as they do hit the cobbles do slow the bikes just a tad. Not going to be working like you would in some dirt sections that you might find in the world of Zwift, but definitely does slow the bikes out just a little bit. If somebody wants to attack through the cobbles or sections that do slow the riders down a little bit more, it does make it a little bit easier to punch and get away, but it looks like things are going to stay calm as they roll toward that first section for the sprint.
I mentioned in the pre-show that one of our athletes just did Ironman World Championships in Kona. That's Lizzie Brook. Very easy to identify as well. That's Lizzie sitting right at the back of the group for the Wahoo Lacole team. That's Kolchinsky that we're in with now. Kristen Kolchinsky, really a celebrated e-sport. I don't know, Nathan, if you had a chance to see the videos that her family put up from her racing a couple weeks ago. And it was her niece and nephew that were cheering for her. It did a heart good to see the enthusiasm. She's got a great support group behind her in real life there in Long Island. She's a rider that's got to be hyped for the World Championships coming up in March. I have a feeling she's going to get it right this year.
Yeah, and you know that the focus for Kolchinsky is completely on esports, and she is definitely completely focused on the Grand Prix as well as the World Championships. So today is going to be a crucial proving ground day, I think, for her when it comes to knowing and experiencing what that road to World Championships, along with the experience of racing World Championships, as this is a similar variation of what we will see both in the Continental Qualifiers and in the World Championships themselves. How someone performs today is going to say a lot as how they may perform when it comes to the rainbow jersey.
Nathan, I think that what I love about what we're seeing right now is this is the esports maturing, because you would have never seen a start like this 2 years ago. Not even close. As people would hit out like they were on their way to the gold rush in California back in 1849. Now it is so much more tactical. The minds have caught up to the ability of the athletes. And this is where now it's a Machiavellian chess match going on out here right now. Is all of these teams, and we're, again, today's not a long day. It's one lap on World Championship proper course, and these ladies are not going to get pulled into false attacks or wasting any energy as they realize that getting into that top 30 today, and there you go, now it's gone. Haley Simmons has attacked, so the Movistar rider off the front. Let's see what this does, Nathan. Who wants to go with her here?
Little bit of a roll through there. Was a not full on orange number attack, but definitely went from front to back. It looked like used the momentum of the pack and then rolled it with about 5 to 6 watts per kilogram. Now really committing to this as she gained 3 seconds. A lot of times before you really commit to an attack, you see whether or not the pack immediately responds. Without any kind of a response from the pack here at this point, they're letting this go. I see 1.4, 2.7 watts per kilogram on the front and gaining 5 seconds. I think they may allow this to go and not show a whole lot of interest in this golden ticket here right now. This might be a freebie here for Simmons.
This is really interesting. And Nathan, I 100% back up what you're saying. She did a little bit of a test attack. That test proved like it was came back very positive. And now if I'm her, I go all in and go for that golden ticket, although we're still a ways away. Remembering that this course has one of the most challenging finales that you see in esports, going over. And this was also, as mentioning, the World Championships that were held here. This was Peter Sagan. His attack is actually at the same place that won the World Championship back in 2015. His attack is actually on Broad Street. It's a cobble sector, which is 23rd and Broad. It's all in this course. A lot of opportunity out here as we take a look at Haley Simmons making the most of that.
5.3 watts per kilogram steady here for Movistar E-Team. They're currently in second place overall in the series, chasing Aeonian. And right now, they may be trying to set up Simmons to get into the next round. And I have a feeling perhaps she may be a good climber, or perhaps looking to try and get this golden ticket and then say, I'm going to just get across the line and save it through the rest of the climbs, because then she can save it for everything that's coming at her in Surrey Hills. What else could be the tactic there for Movistar E-Team? I have a feeling they're trying to play Simmons well with actually fresh legs rather than burnt legs by grabbing this golden ticket.
I couldn't argue with that, Nathan. It makes a lot of sense. You really have to look at risk and reward out here as really it's about making the top 30. That golden ticket only transfers you into the next moto. It doesn't move you into the final 10. So that's what's so fun about what we're doing here is we start with 60. The next race is 30. Then the final race is 10. And it's all won or lost in that final race. So, Nathan, I want to go back to what you were saying and agree that this is about doing enough to move on without doing too much. I mentioned Lionel Viasen earlier. His brilliance was in putting something in the bank. By getting that golden ticket, he was able to then lay up, recharge his battery, and then in that final 10, he did massive damage. So let's see if any of the women can crack the code. That is much easier said than done, but I'm in 100% agreement on what you're saying here. I think that is Simmons' strategy. It makes sense to me because this is the kind of race where you can certainly get yourself in trouble, follow the top 30 and not advance, but you can't win the overall here. So that certainly puts a governor on things.
100%. Simmons, solid 21-second gap. They will not be catching her for the sprint that is coming up. It's going to be a right-hand turn, and in front of them in just a moment, the golden tickets that will be left. There'll be 4 still up for grabs after Simmons crosses the line, and it does look like she's going to stay away. They're going to pass by Scotty the Squirrel here as they take the right-hand turn, and the ramp-up is going to start if anybody's going to be going for this golden ticket. Now, a few riders maybe just be looking to sit in the wings of the draft here, Dave, and save as much as they possibly can, but anybody who does want a free pass to the next round, they're going to have to go for it as she crosses the start of the sprint section for the golden ticket. Simmons has walked away with this one.
So you don't have a ton of risk here. This is going to be Webb. She's going to make the move here. This should be good for another golden ticket. I thought I saw Gontova's name up there. Oh, it's going to be, this is nice, Marlies Mejias, the Cuban. The Cuban missile goes. This doesn't matter that she passes Webb. Webb is still fine. So golden ticket going to the Cuban. Golden ticket going to the Roca Corba rider. It looks like, is it going to be Greenaway? Or, oh, look at this. One of the Swedes is coming through. That's going to be Sarah London there. Or is it? Yes, Sarah London will get a ticket. Mejias getting a ticket. Greenway. So let's, and Hermanson there, the Swede on Movistar. Movistar with 2 golden tickets, Nathan.
Yeah, great job by Mejias coming through there. I think it was a very smart move for 2024 to grab her that golden ticket. That's really where she shines, being an in real life crit racer. For the team, she has won many a sprint. She's got a huge power spike. And for her ability there to go and grab that golden ticket, I think that the smartest play now at this point is to try and get her into the final round. So making sure she gets over the
100%.
top of the climbs in the Surrey Hills is going to be so important. So she can just sit up now and cruise her way to the line, or perhaps see if she can get involved for a top 30 for a few points. But the safest play, I think, for her is perhaps to let her legs rest to at least get into Crit City, because that's where she can get the most points for the team, perhaps.
Yeah, obviously KK, Kristen Kolchinsky, and Marlies Mejias are 2 riders on Virginia Blue Ridge that they would love to see into that final 10. Kristen Kolchinsky should be phenomenal for the first 2 races, and then hopefully her teammate will be able to pick up the slack and make it a great day for VBR 2024. They also on that team have Ashley McIntosh, a very impressive young lady, just became a full-time nurse, and it's great to have her out racing with us. It looks like now as we gonna hit the reset button here, Nathan.
Yeah, it looks like Haley Simmons now pulled back in here really by the reality of how fast this whole pack or whole peloton travels downhill. You can see some of the super tucks coming in here because they are going over 57 kilometers per hour right now. This other side of Governor Street here, Dave, it's just so incredibly screaming fast that the snowball effect of the pack definitely tends to take over. And to try and stay away as a solo rider almost never happens without more than a minute on the pack at this point.
Nathan, if we do look at that final race, and again, that's the last 10 women standing after Surrey Hills. We got to get through Richmond first. So really, the top 30 here now, this is where the big teams, the teams that are sitting on the top of the table, they're going to be looking to advance. To be honest, a couple of these squads would like to see all 5 riders getting through. We do have 2 teams that only started with 4 out here today. That would be Movistar and Aero. But some of these teams, Nathan, at least 4 riders, if they can get into that group of 30, they're going to be happy here. Start just trying to stack on stack points. That's really the name of the game. And we're getting down to it here, folks. This is going to be the big throwdown. This is going to be absolutely amazing what happens at the bottom of Libby Hill. Just a little over a K till we get there, but then it's on like Donkey Kong. All right, Nathan, back to you as they're coming up on 6K to go in race 1 of 3.
Yeah, and here is Liz Van Houweling. Be on the watch out for her when it comes to Crit City. I have a feeling she is going to be able to make her way through to the final if she comes and shows up with her usual power numbers on the day. Definitely known for her punch and her sprint, and she's got a pretty good engine on her as well when it does come to climbing. So Van Houweling, been the #1 ranked rider, maybe still is, in Zwift Power rankings, and keeping it cool here toward the back of the pack, just waiting for the cobbles of Libby Hill. They're going to come at these riders in about a K1/2.
If you want to talk about, Nathan, the rider that's best suited to all 3 courses, and that goes part and parcel with her being world #1, that is Liz Van Houweling, no doubt about it. I mean, the thing is, there's no real benefit to winning all 3 races, so I'm not going to expect her to go bananas out here. I expect to see her in the top 10, and then possibly winning. It's that 3rd race where the medal really, where we're going to be clashing swords out here, and it's all going to be decided, but you got to get there. And this is going to be the first big test. We're just about to go over that threshold, Nathan. I am really excited to see how the teams want to play their cards, because this one is going to go full gas. And there's a rider that's going to make a difference. What a talent, Anna Spardstrom on the Swedish Swifting team. This is a team that Nathan could put all 5 riders into the next round.
Now, the question here for me here, Dave, is how much risk-reward is going to be played out on Libby and on 23rd? Or are we going to see something similar to what we saw last week, where it seemed like a pack didn't trust that they could really break things apart, and maybe felt like, look, it's going to be worth the same points when it comes to this, top 30 or so coming on through. So why don't we make sure that we just get involved there and keep ourselves involved, rather than risking too much and burning too many matches over the top of Libby Hill? Or are some of these teams going to say, look, we've got a couple of riders that we want to go out there and put the hurt on, so that our other riders can sit in the wheels and make sure that they're resting up as much as possible? We're about to find out here, Dave. They're going to hit Libby Hill and those cobbles in just a few meters.
Get ready to smash. Nathan, the one thing I would think about is, if a team that you're worried about has one of their top sprinters in trouble, and you can put them in more trouble, you would do that to get them out of the top 30 and maybe save yourself a nightmare later. It's possible. We're going to see what happens here. These ladies are just about to throw down. It's like a ticking time bomb. It's only a matter of moments until riders explode out of this group. It's not going to be a group of even bigger than 30 once they come over 23rd. We got a couple lumps to get over before we get to that point. It's the big throwdown. And I'm amazed, Nathan, to see that no one has attacked yet. That's these ladies respecting the quality of this field. It looks like Coalition now starting to press on. This is going to be a new big talent for Stephanie Sidlick as well. So Sidlick using the Ghost.
And it looks like Furry here also using a very early power up there with that arrow power up, which really surprises me, because the most crucial sections of this climb are definitely not the early goings of it. She was trying to maybe get a little bit of separation, but the pack just rolls right up on this with the speed. Now it's going to be Kolkoff to the front. Kolchinski following wheels, and she is such a savvy rider. Look, backs off the 5.4 and just makes sure that she's in position and lets Charlotte do the work at the front. Now we really hit the gradients here, Dave, as it's going to be Omnium coming over the top. Now Kolchinski starts to make a move.
Yeah, Kolchinski really has come a long way in her racing IQ, and it's impressive to see. So really sitting in good shape right now. It looks like Aeonian. Vicky Whitelaw is up there. Ariel Verhaeren as well, the American Olympian. So Kolchinski sitting right there. Anna Russell, very strong move from the New Zealander to be sitting in the front of this group, and you can see a split is going to be happening right in the middle. So it is on, no doubt about it. This is really impressive, and Liz Van Houweling does what Liz Van Houweling does, and she's having her way with this field right now. So there's the big split happening, Nathan. This thing's gone full gas here as they're up and over Libby. It's not over yet, and that's going to be Kolchinski going blow for blow. It's just body blows being thrown out. So Kolchinski taking over on the front. There's going to be a lot of riders hanging on. That's going to be the impressive Lizzie Brooke up there as well. She's got some tremendous form. Back to you, Nathan, as next up, it's 23rd.
Yeah, and looking at Kolchinski following up Van Houweling's attack there, and Van Houweling actually used an arrow power-up, interesting enough, going into the banner where she'll be able to collect another one. So that was a little bit of a move, actually, there coming from Liz Van Houweling. That she didn't save her arrow power-up for anything later. There was a little bit of a push to cause a split, it looks like. I did just see Van Houweling use a ghost power-up just a moment ago as well. She was invisible. Now into this super tuck, it looks like it's going to be Schumann up toward the front, not in the best position, though, as they're going to roll right on through with speed. You actually want to be at the back at this point. So now here comes the speed from the rest of the group, and now the punch is really going to be on. There was a little bit of a split a moment ago, Dave. Now, riders, you really need to stay on terms with this, because if you're off the back after 23rd, you're not in this race any longer.
But it's amazing the difference when you have a good run up to this climb versus a bad one. You feel like you're being launched out of a rocket now, as this is going to be an amazing ride from Sarah Snowpins here, as they are all over the front of this bike race. So I got to give props to Anna Russell for an outstanding job. So Itkin, Van Houweling, Russell, Fuhrer is there, Mary Wilkinson, no doubt about it. How about Loker, Nathan, being up there? That woman is a wattage cottage, and so there's a good reason why she's one of the biggest threats for a sprint. But back to Itkin right now. Aeonian really stepping up. They're our top team coming into week 2 here for the women, and they have really backed that up. So they've got some range on this squad. We got a ways to go to the finish line. Taking a look at the jerseys here, not a bad job. Katie Loker here, Socks for Watts with a couple of riders. Ruth Shire is the other. So Socks for Watts looking to climb the ladder. All right, Nathan, back to you as we take a look at the ladies on this long descent. Not quite as critical as the run up to 23rd. A little more gradual start to the climb to the finish here on Governors.
You can see them all just getting as much reprieve as they possibly can after that 23rd punch. Great to see that Katie Loker has made it through here. She's got a monster punch when it comes to the sprinting. One of the best sprinters we know of in the world amongst the women's crew. Definitely a reduced field at this point, though, Dave. And you can see behind, we didn't see a single rider in the chase, as we said just a moment ago. And look at the effort. Polona Itkin always with this insane effort coming from her. And every time we've got her on camera, this woman throws it all down for the Ionian team whenever we see her. And look at this effort coming from her as they head toward Governor Street.
I want to talk about all in. That is quite an effort, and this is what it takes, ladies and gentlemen, just to hang in this front group. This is brutal, and now we're into the finale. Let's make it, I would say the grand finale, but we still have a lot of racing ahead of us, and that's something you really have to factor in. Is this is one of those times when you want to do enough, but not too much. Much like riding in a breakaway, you hear directors telling riders, okay, you can work, but don't do more work than anyone else. And right now, that's got to be in the mindset of these riders. You take a look around and you realize we're sitting in the top 30. I just want to transfer. This is going to be Kolchinski. So this is really KK going clear here. She's just going to make sure that she's one of the riders who advances, not having a golden ticket in hand. I understand. This is where she's so strong. And again, this is her and her element, her wheelhouse, if you will, Nathan. So KK, really for her, this is just kind of a good opener for Surrey Hills right now.
Using the burrito power-up, so just a moment ago, Kolchinski, there was a burrito power-up that she used to get this quick little gap, and nobody responded to that. It looked like they're going to let her go. They're all thinking about the top 30, and it looks like they're not wanting to risk anything trying to follow her effort. It might put somebody on the back foot to try and follow her effort off the front and find themselves swarmed by the pack. Now, the other thing is that there are DSs in all of the ears of every one of the riders at this point, and because of that, they might be saying, look, you're in the bag here at this point. You've made this front group, and there may not even be enough riders to eliminate the others because of how many have made this front group. So at this point, they can calm down. Kolchinski, really, this is the move of dominance. This is saying, I'm the strongest rider here, and I'm going to show you I don't need to rest up like the rest.
Yeah, and now she can start resting up as well. You're going to see her numbers go down. She knows that she's advancing. Nathan, I think the very smartest riders are the ones sitting back in the middle of this group right now. That it's sort of that mix of, as you said, risk and reward, right? You know you're not going to get caught from behind. You're going to transfer. So now you want to just burn as few calories as you can. It's generally using the rule of thumb of the men's race, the men and the women alternate each week. So the women have had a chance to see how things played out for the men. And ultimately, Nathan, I think they plan on about an 8 to 10 minute break between the races. So let's start sorting this now, as we're going to be putting 30 riders into the Surrey Hills race to come up next. And these are going to be the names that we're going to be looking at. We'll have a chance to review our data here. We do know for a fact who our 5 gold tickets were. That was decided a little bit earlier, so it's 25 more ladies that are going to be looking to just make sure that they stay in the mix here.
Yeah, and I have a feeling maybe 1 or 2 riders at the back of that pack may not make it through. I was looking at some of the time gaps, and I'm wondering if perhaps if all of that group got through, but we'll have to wait and see in just a moment here. Some of them still finishing up, we're hearing. So this is going to be the finishing order, it looks like, plus the golden tickets will be showing in just a moment. So it'll be Kolchinski, Paul, Brooke, Cassie, Schumann, Harris, Useni, Wilkinson, Jarheed, Fur for your top 10 and getting the points across the line for 20. Everybody in the top 30 spots does get those 20 spots. Go ahead, Dave, and take on the next to the top 20.
Yeah, as Nathan was saying, all of the riders that advance get the 20 points here. There's no added incentive with the golden tickets. So now you can take a look at the Toyota Cryo rider, Donny. Then 3 in a row. Actually, look at this. The group here, Nathan, of Aeonian with Monali Keller, Vicky Whitelaw, and then we were in screen with the Norwegian Itkin earlier, and that was a solid ride. Kolkloff makes it into the top 15 as well. Ariel Verhaeren, Simonic, Russell, Coomer, and Norden. We've got 10 more to look at that will transfer.
And it is going to be Liz Van Houweling. Katie Loker right on her heels. Shire's there, followed up by Wu Yan for the Virginia's Blue Ridge 2024. Sammy Stewart has made it through as well. It's going to be Osterby, followed up by Soderstrom. Alicia Haag and Marb has made it for Beast Mode, presented by Rose. And Morrison is your 30th rider across the line for 20 points for Saris No Pins.
All right, so we'll keep moving now. We had 58 at the start with Nadia Guntova here. Looks like she's awarded 20 points. It's going to be Lawson, Svardstrom, Gilson, Frisk, Weissman, Denton, Alton, Sidlick, and Ridgway. As we start seeing the points declining now, Nathan, as I'll throw it back to you for 41 through 50.
41 through 50 is going to be 10 points to London. Embring Grammy 9. Alexi Snover for 43rd, and it's going to be 8 points. Then it's going to be Machner, Webb, Hermanson, Frisch, Bardo, Voskova, and then it's going to be Walkenhorst and Barry with 1 point for that 50th place.
And we'll continue awarding points. So that's going to be Marley Mejias, Greenaway, Haynes, and Simmons. So it was actually 54 starters that we had here. And so that's our placings on the day on a very challenging Richmond UCI course. A course well loved by the racers, Nathan. I would say always been one of the favorited courses by our esports colleagues.
Yeah, we did see it has their Simmons, London, Greenway, and Hermanson grabbing those golden tickets. And we did see a couple of them with just the 1 point. So I think, like we said earlier, didn't want to waste a whole lot of effort over the top of the climbs. Grab those tickets and then just sat up, grab the 1 point for the team, and are thinking more toward the later rounds. Kolchinski then the next one when it comes to qualifying with that obvious just walk-away dominance. Paul then, followed up by Brooke, Cassie, and Schumann are going to be making it through. That's 10 of the riders qualified for race 2.
Yeah, Kristen Kolchinsky, like a police dog, she doesn't have an off switch once she turns it on, right? So you can see now that we're going to look at the riders all advancing, qualified for race two. Harris, Useni, Wilkinson, Jared, Führer, Donnie, Keller, Whitelaw, Itkin, and Colclough. So 10 more names will advance.
Ariel Verhaeren, followed up by Stimnet. It's going to be Anna Russell, Pia Kumner, Norden there is the 25th rider, Liz Van Houweling, Katie Loker, Schreier, Wu Yan, and Sammy Stewart. That's your 30 riders getting through to the next round of racing. Dave, well, that's going to be our 30. A few riders not making it. Did I hear the name Nadia Gantova? And maybe a couple of others, a little bit of a surprise, not making it through to this next round. It goes to show how incredibly difficult, how high the intensity is when it comes to this Richmond World's course.
Yeah, exactly. A good problem to have, right? Nadia Gantova is a perfect example of a really talented rider who didn't make it into this next round. And what that says to me is this is the highest level that we've ever seen by a long shot. These teams are motivated. Their input has been invaluable. We're continuing again. This is the format that you're really going to see at the World Championship level. And wow. I have to say now that seeing Sammy Stewart as the 30th and final rider to transfer, that makes me feel good about her chances, Nathan, because I have a feeling she's riding very smart here and trying to do as little as possible until the final 10. Let's watch that name and see if she makes it into that group of 10. And how about Katie Loker today? Got to say, Katie Loker, really, really impressive.
Yeah, I think Katie's definitely been working on her ability to make it through some of these longer climbs, these situations where it's a little bit more of a threshold, the VO2 max effort. The reality, though, of Richmond is it is pretty punchy, right? We didn't see anything of an effort that was over a couple of minutes. And so we'll see how things end up playing out in the Surrey Hills for Loker. If she can make it through to Crit City, that's where I think we're really going to be able to see her shine. Really, I think for Katie, she's going to be thinking about how am I going to make it with these top riders and these top climbers to make it into Crit City as they head into the Surrey Hills of London.
Liz Van Houweling has really cracked the code in esports. There is no doubt about that. This is interesting. That this is the first time, Nathan, that I really feel at this level with the entire cast of characters. It's no longer a dress rehearsal. And I feel like seeing Kristen Kolchinsky, Liz Van Houweling right now going up against some of the top sprinters out there. We mentioned Loker, Sammy Stewart. It's such an interesting format that we have because right now I would say Liz Van Houweling, even though Kolchinsky rode away with that race, Liz Van Houweling still remains to me maybe the biggest talent that we have out here. And that's why we have them actually do the races instead of just talking about it because they get a chance to prove it. This is incredibly cool. So Surrey Hills coming up next. Nathan, if you're one of our 30 riders that transfers here, what are you doing right now? Do you get off the trainer? Do you stay on the trainer? Actually, before we answer that, let's take a look at some team points now. It sounds like that data has just come available.
Wahoo Lacole with 100 points. That's a solid result for them, playing it real smart and making sure that they're all within that top 30. It's going to be Star Snowpins with 95. Aeonian at 84. The current leaders of the series. We'll see if they can keep it in that podium, within a podium grab. Beast Mode presented by Rose showing up on the day with 82 and fourth place right now. They are jumping up, it looks like, with a couple of the All-Stars showing up today. Toyota Coyote T with 80 points in fifth. It's going to be Team of Swedish Swifters at 73, Dave, in sixth.
Yeah, so Wahoo Lacole getting everyone through into the next 30. It's Sox for Watts in seventh. You can see Virginia Blue Ridge 2024 right now with sitting in eighth. Coalition Alpha ninth. Roca Corba Collective 10th. Movistar 11th. And then Arrow rounding out our table here after the first of three races today. So next up, race two. But Nathan, after looking at this, Wahoo Lacole, when I was looking at it on paper, I thought they were going to be tough to beat today, and certainly coming off with a very good start here.
Our current second place team, Dave, Movistar E team, they're going to really be looking forward, I think, to this next race. Are going to need to put some riders there in those top spots. Hopefully, they got some climbers that are showing up today, Dave, because they're currently sitting in second to last place. Going from second place to second to last, maybe they saved a little too much today or didn't play their cards completely correctly on Richmond, or maybe they're looking toward the Surrey Hills to really make up the most that they possibly can when it comes to points today.
Yeah, I think it's fascinating when you look at it. What makes this so complex is you want them to do enough, and I think it's that margin, the safety. How much effort are you willing to put into in the first 2 rounds to be safe to get your top riders into that final 10? Because that's really where it all gets decided. So the Surrey Hills course is decidedly different, and you'd have to say when you look at what they've got to race into now, the climbers have to be licking their lips, Nathan.
Yeah, 100%. And out on London, that Fox Hill, it comes at you a lot punchier than Box Hill. And you'd say, what? Punchier than Box Hill? Yes, it's the steeper side of this climb. And there's actually a little bit of a roll in downhill prior to hitting the Queen of the Mountain section where those next golden tickets will be up for grabs. There's going to be 3 of them actually on Fox Hill. Then it's a pretty solid descent to the bottom of Box Hill and then a left-hand turn into the lower slopes of Leith. We saw some really interesting tactics last week, Dave, in the men's race on the lower slopes of Leith Hill because it's not exactly a sharp climb up front.
Yeah, this is where as well, if you can go get the golden ticket, Nathan, you can lay back and really recharge your battery for that final 10 because you know you're going to be in the mix. Only 10 riders advance. I have to say that the Anvil has become one of the world's most popular power-ups. Burrito, I hate, not a popular one. And it's not really going to have much impact on a day like today. This is going to come down to the heart, the lungs, the legs, and the heads of the racers. But on this one, I don't see the power-ups being the big difference maker.
Yeah, invisibility and burrito more being disruption power-ups, right, Dave? They're not so much a power-up that's about increasing speed or anything like that. It's a utility power-up. It's a power-up that you throw in the mix of a pack and it's like, whoa, what's happening? I can't do what I wanted to or respond how I wanted to rather than just increasing speed.
It's interesting because when you look at impact, these power-ups are not the ones that the racers really, really are craving out here. So, all right, race 2, round 2. This is going to be an interesting one, Nathan. Can any of these ladies that we've talked about as the top sprinters survive out of this group? Or do they go for a golden ticket? Is that your option here, is to go ballistic and just try on that climb to get that golden ticket? I don't know. I might play those cards if I was Katie Loca or Sammy Stewart.
Yeah, and with the way that the points are distributed out here, I have a feeling perhaps if they see a sprinter go, if they see somebody go early on Fox Hill, you may not see too much of a chase. The pack may stay Grupo Compacto looking forward to Leith Hill. So you may have a rider who, not a pure sprinter, but is a puncher / sprinter that could get away on Fox and grab that golden ticket and shoo themselves into Crit City and not have to worry too much about the Leith Hill climb where there's a lot of points on grabs for these teams. And those who are thinking about the Leith Hill climb, they don't want to do everything on that Fox Hill because the Box Hill descent is most likely going to snowball and bring things back together. An attack on Fox Hill that's going to do anything for the points on this race, number 2, is going to have to be bottom to top to get the kind of distance between themselves and a pack at this point. I'm not sure anyone's going to want to risk that kind of energy expenditure. I have a feeling it's going to be more about those who want to get into this next round and not care as much about Leith Hill.
The old saying, in order to win, you have to risk losing, doesn't technically apply here because what we're talking about is making the top 10. And I don't know of any great saying that goes along with making the top 10 because that's what's so unique about this racing. What you need to do is transfer here. And obviously, the golden ticket, that's a sneaky way to play the game. And that's something that we've really loved about this is the gamification has greatly increased out here. So I'm going to say go for the golden ticket if you're about half of the ladies that remain in this group of 30. So it's like Agatha Christie's 10 Little Indians. There were 60. Now there's 30. And pretty soon we'll be down to 10 after we get things sorted out here in the Surrey Hills.
Top 7 plus the 3 golden tickets get through. It'll be interesting how this plays out here as we do head in with 30 riders total. Dave, that's a lot of riders to be eliminated. 20 riders out of this 30. More than half the pack are not getting through. And that's how we saw things absolutely blow up on Leith Hill. And Leith Hill is extremely tactical, Dave. We saw that there was a breakaway early on in the men's race. Things tried to be pulled back together, unable to be pulled back together. And then the chase pack had riders start to attack each other out of that chase pack to try and get away before the top of the hill. I have a feeling we're going to see something very similar. And so far, Dave,
well,
I think everybody was keeping their powder pretty dry that made it through to this next round. I think the fireworks are really going to show up on Leith.
Couldn't agree more. And Nathan, my thought here is the riders like Kolchinski, like Liz Van Houweling, and I'm looking for a few more names to put into that. Well, Anna Svardstrom would be another great example, the Swedish Swifter. They're going to go ballistic out here because they want to get rid of those dangerous threats if they're in the top 10. Kristen Kolchinski does not want to sprint with Sammy Stewart. So her best situation is, you know what? Let's let them sort this out themselves. We're going to go right into the racing here as we appreciate you being with us. And let's go to London, Surrey Hills. And here they are, Nathan. Looks like Wahoo Cole's on the front appropriately. They put all 5 riders into round 2.
Taking the left-hand turn out of the pens as they head down the road here, and they'll be heading on toward the underground in just a moment, over the bridge and into the subway that we would call it here in the US of A. And then they're going to head out into the Surrey Hills. I think it's going to stay pretty calm before they hit Fox Hill. It comes at them real quickly here, Dave, and any kind of attacks at this point most likely going to be brought back in with how sharp that downhill is into the underground.
Well, that's a really good point as well. There's really no way you could imagine an attack on the first climb making it all the way to the finish. It would obviously be for those golden tickets. We pare things down to only 3 golden tickets versus the 5, but percentage-wise, actually, it's a little more than we had. This is Sammy Stewart, who we were talking about. Sammy, again, one of, I would say, relatively fresh Zwifter, but boy, she's had a huge, well, her trajectory's been very steep as she jumps into the deep end of the pool and is immediately finding success. So obviously a rider, if she can make it into that final 10, is going to be a huge threat to come away on top of the table, but she's got to get through this. Honestly, it's a gauntlet that she's running out here today with some of the top climbers like Van Houweling and Kolchinski that we've been talking about.
One thing to quickly mention on the equipment, the virtual equipment that is being used out here today, it is all cosmetic within the Grand Prix. There are no advantages between the bikes. They are all neutralized out here today, so none of these bikes will be having any advantage over the others. Instead, it's just going to be about the tactics and the power these riders are putting down, as well as the speed that they carry through at those key moments. As we take a look here at Schumann with the visor, it looks like, and the orange Tron that they've chosen, I think across the team in order to match the jersey. That's the the black and orange of Beast Mode presented by Rose.
All right, so yeah, and that's certainly another rider, Nathan, that I should put in that group of your danger women on the climbs today. Gabby Schumann, a huge talent, and it's nice to see her jumping in for the race. I believe that's Gabby that we're highlighting right now, getting a good look at that visor, taking some clues from Anna Russell, another visor lover. There's Gabrielle, so Brazilian flag, but Germany is where she spends a lot of her time. She's a citizen of the world.
Taking a right-hand turn here now, and they're going to be going up Fox Hill in just a moment. 2.6 watts per kilogram coming from the Brazilian rider riding out of Germany at this point. Right-hand turn, and they'll be taking a left veering on to Fox Hill. As we said, it comes at them very quickly in the first couple of K, and now is when we're going to find out if anybody is going to try and make some moves for those 3 golden tickets to get into Crit City. Again, I have a feeling the golden tickets are going to be sought after more for those who want to get through this round rather than those that are looking for the big points at the end of Leith Hill.
Yeah, I think the golden ticket is a bigger factor in this race, Nathan, to tell you the truth, than in race number one. Obviously, the final race doesn't have a golden ticket, as that's just all about the podium. But here we go. She's back. Haley Simmons. Is Kolchinski going to use this as a launch pad? So, again, this is what Kristen Kolchinski does. I think I've never met an esports racer, Nathan, who's more comfortable being uncomfortable than Kristen Kolchinski. And this is a great place for people to get uncomfortable on a climb like this. But Haley Simmons is making her mark out here today. Got to give her, certainly so far, one of our Racer of the Day notes.
Kolchinski following the move, interesting enough, and that may cause some fireworks behind. That's not the kind of rider you want to let too much of a leash on here to get up the road. Wilkinson now, I know, has been putting in a massive effort of training, and definitely one to be watching out for here in
100%.
This climb. That's her specialty, actually, and I would not be surprised if Mary Wilkinson was looking at the racing today as well as across the entirety of the Grand Prix and was thinking, that's the one I'm aiming at. Now, Kolchinski, though, goes over the top. I think this is going to start seeing some response from the pack that we weren't necessarily expecting unless KK or a rider like her did make a move like this. My question, Dave, was Simmons looking to grab a golden ticket and not wanting this kind of response from the pack?
Well, actually, having KK come with you helps. If she can stay on this wheel, that will give her a much greater chance of getting a golden ticket than if she was out there alone. So but she's got to stay on the wheel. And Kristen Kolchinski is savage, absolutely savage, although give Simmons some credit here. She's doing exactly that. So if she can use Kolchinski to set pace for here, this would be one of the brightest moves that we've seen in a long, long time. I'm impressed by Haley. So behind her, boy, the Norwegian is relentless out here today. Mary Wilkinson, Nathan, I think she's going for a golden ticket. These riders know that if they can get that golden ticket, they can lay back and freshen up and come into the final race with a much better chance of getting points for their team. So obviously they've gone all in. So Kolchinski now surging again. Kolchinski is truly a wattage cottage.
Look at this, at 6 watts per
She's
kilogram,
dancing
and they're giving her 8 seconds now at this point. She's gapped Simmons. Simmons, I really do think, was in for the golden ticket here and trying to get past to the next round. I think she may back off and just allow the pack to catch her at this point. The rest of the pack may allow Kolchinski to go and trust that they're going to catch her on the downhill. And Kolchinski, though, what's the move here? Is she going to steal a golden ticket away? Because
100%.
I have no doubt in my mind that she will also qualify to the next round through the Leith Hill climb. So this just takes away an opportunity from the rest of the pack as well for another golden ticket. I mean, this is a double dipping and again, a dominance move here, Dave, because this is a rider that doesn't necessarily need the golden ticket.
Well, this is like that lady in the Stairway to Heaven song. When she gets there, she knows that the stores will all open. She's going to get what she wants. 100% she'll get what she wants, and that's a golden ticket. She can do it. She's that talented. This is not something new. She's been doing this for years. Now, Mary Wilkinson is regarded as one of the best climbers out of the United Kingdom in esports or in real life. And Mary Wilkinson, it looks like, is going to make a bit of a run at this. Three golden tickets waiting at the top. So Simmons is still holding on. As a matter of fact, I got to say, more power to her. This is an incredible ride from the Movistar rider. She's making her star out here right now. Kolchinski, yes, she's an established veteran. But Haley Simmons, welcome to the big time. Phenomenal performance, and here comes Scary Mary. So Wilkinson coming now. Lizzie Brooke moving up into the 4th spot. So that's the bubble there. Only 3 get that golden ticket.
Yeah, it looked to me like the effort there coming from Mary Wilkinson just a moment ago was not all in at that point. It was 4.5 watts per kilogram. Now that it goes out to 25 seconds, I think they're trying to keep it within striking distance to allow Kolchinski to burn the matches up front here. Go ahead, get that gap, but they want to keep it within what a pack could snowball back, right? They're trying to play it smart enough without wasting too much effort, and Wilkinson here is setting the tempo at the front.
So theoretically, I mean, and I don't know that Kolchinski does back off. It's really tough to get her to scale back. But if Kolchinski picks up this golden ticket, she has all of that buffer and all of that time to freshen the legs up for the next race. So that, again, we're going to be looking at Haley Simmons. Now, that gap is still large enough. Let's call it 10, 11 seconds. I'll round up in her benefit there. She deserves it. That it's looking like she's in pretty good shape now. That final final golden ticket, Nathan, we could see a group sprint for that. There's 28 ladies looking for one last golden ticket, assuming they don't catch Simmons, which I don't think they will.
Yeah, 16 seconds. You can see her. You see the pack in the background. Now we're looking at Kolchinsky again here. Look at the grinding of that.
She's in a different
here at this point.
postal code.
5.6 watts per kilogram. 26 seconds. She's gone at this point. Now the question is, does she hang on to the time gaps that she's gaining at this point? She may do so, Dave. She could get far enough out. It's going to have to be a pretty big gap. And the sprint through that section to grab that last golden ticket, it's going to be on fire. A lot of power and speed coming through. Now here we go with Simmons, and it's going to be Lindsay Cassie, the climber we talked about. Van Heuling coming on through at 7.2 watts per kilogram now. Now the separation's starting a little bit here. Simmons being pulled in. She's within striking distance, Dave.
Well, and you got to say Liz Van Houweling, so smart. What a dialed-in racer. If she can pick up that golden ticket, which she should be in pretty good shape for, wow. All right, so that's Liz Van Houweling that we're looking at right now. Lindsay Cassie is the rider there getting onto her wheel. She's definitely having a breakthrough ride out here today. Gabby Schumann now sitting back in fifth wheel.
Yeah, and the separation has not happened necessarily enough that I think, they were going for the golden ticket a little bit, but also they may have seen a little in the armor of the rest of the pack to get some separation going, but not going to happen. Kolchinsky grabs the first golden ticket here. Simmons just going to hang on. There'll be one more left, and I think Van Houweling wants this. Van Houweling, I think, really, really, really wants this here. Here she goes, 9.6, 10 watts per kilogram. Van Houweling, maybe. Oh, right at the line. Jarheed and Van Houweling, one of the two. Not sure. It looks like it's going to be our hit. Oh, man. That's a tough one here because Van Houweling, I think, really wanted to make Crit City off of a golden ticket. The timing, though, coming from Marlene was too much.
You know, I would say no harm, no foul on that, though. She knows she's still going to advance when you talk about Liz Van Houweling. And it goes to show you, again, the level's so high. Look at Movistar today. They were second place coming into after round one. We're into round two right now. And they are starting to look like, and Aeonian was the top team. This is going to be Marlene, who just took that final golden ticket. Big smile. I bet you the team is giving her massive props. Nathan, we should send her some Tutti Fruities. She earned them.
100%. Now, Dave, I don't know. The call on Van Houweling getting through regardless, there's 3 spots. Now there's only 7 going to be left. And the quality here, she's amongst that quality, but it's still a risk, Dave. Over the top, in my opinion, she's still at risk. No, it's amongst this pack with this kind of level.
She's not going to get you long odds. I mean, she's definitely going to be a favorite to advance. But you're right, Nathan. Absolutely nothing is given out here. And you start looking at names that she's going to have to do better than. Gabby Schumann. The list is very long. Mary Wilkinson. Just about the entire Swedish Zwifters team. Anna Spardstrom, Anna Embring. I mean, there's Sarah Lunding. There's some real talent out here. So I agree with you. I can't just give her an automatic 4th golden ticket. You're right. She's going to have to fight. And these ladies don't give an inch. So point noted. Well said.
And I think the reason why she sprinted so hard for that one was because of that risk. I think she knows
she wanted to
rest this group that she's knowing that her real talent is in Crit City, right? And so she's looking to grab that ticket and go, look, I need the shoe in because this next climb might be a little bit too much amongst this crew. So we'll see how this plays out for Van Houweling.
So, and if you look at it, so Kristen Kolchinsky now is got a golden ticket. She can let her legs cool down, or not cool down. That's not the right way to put it. She can go into preservation mode, and she should come into Crit City ready to swing that 20-pound sledgehammer. I definitely think that Kolchinsky knows exactly what she's doing. The director of that team, Josh Lipka, does a tremendous job strategizing. And Virginia Blue Ridge 2024 has absolutely redoubled their efforts out here this year.
100%. Now, the question is, Kolchinsky made the move over the top, right? And so that move was made. She obviously grabbed that golden ticket. Now she's going to be all in for the points. She's caused a huge amount of separation and really whittled down this group as well. So she's made things easier for herself as far as that goes. Now, was too much given to that climb, though, that she's not going to be able to walk away like we saw. My question is, who has been sitting in the ranks here within this pack, knowing they could make this league group without that kind of an effort to try and win outright on Leith Hill outside of KK? Who would it be, do you think, Dave?
Well, yeah, I mean, that's a really good question, no doubt. I'm just looking at this group. We're going to look at Liz Van Houweling here as we're going to go in camera. That's Liz that you see in the pink and white. Chase group right now.
In the chase group here, and it looks like it's going to be 3 Aeonian, 1 2024 rider, 1 Toyota Priority T rider. Movistar is here as well. And solo when it comes to Saris, no pins here at this point. Now, the only hope now at this point for Liz Van Houweling is that if this group starts to make a chase and that front group completely blows up, but if you made it over the top of Fox Hill with this group and at the pace that they're going, I'm not sure that you're going to be caught by anybody in that chase group at this point. So this is maybe the death knell at this point for Liz Van Houweling to make it to Crit City.
That's
it's
amazing.
More about for her than the points that she's gotten so far and making points for the team still within the group that she's with. There's still points up for grabs for them.
Don't sleep on Charlotte Kolkoff. Nate, I just have to go back and say how amazing it is to see the level that we're at out here. These women just so impressive. But this is Charlotte Kolkoff that we're looking at now, who quietly just is always right there. And this is how she's been making her star, by not missing a step. So taking a look again at this front group, big surprises out here. This is why we just love what the racing has been going towards with the last couple of months, some of the biggest changes that we've seen in the history of esports. And it's created the most dynamic, thrilling racing. This is another Olympian that we love having racing with us out of Utah, Ariel Verhaeren. Aeonian is the top team, Nathan. It's interesting to see now that you start to get a feel for they're also probably not too stoked with the scenario.
And as you do see the riders here settling right on in to this steady pace, Wilkinson continues to drive. And we saw her on Fox Hill at the front doing the same thing, but right around this 4 to 5 watt per kilogram. That's not her attack pace. This is her steady tempo pace, I think. It's waiting to pounce. And that's my opinion at this point. I think Wilkinson is really focusing in on this Leith Hill. 13 riders, Dave. 13 riders have made this group. It's only going to be, I wonder how many have the golden tickets then as well that'll be able to make it through.
That's a great question. It's a 30-second gap. 30-second gap. 13 riders is a tough number. But Nathan, when you think about it, I know at least one golden ticket isn't in this group because Movistar picked up 2, and I only see 1 Movistar jersey here in this group. So one of the golden tickets has gone back at a minimum. And actually, it's probably 2 golden tickets that we don't have in this group. So when you factor that all in, it's not really 10 spots out of this group of 13, is it?
And now to the front. No, it's not. That's exactly right. There's only 7 getting through here, Dave. And one of the golden tickets already taken up by Kolczynski, who is in this group, makes things really interesting. Now Lindsay Cassie, another one. Watch out for her.
And Bjarhead is the other.
I'd really be watching out here for Wilkinson, Cassie. Lizzie Brooke has also been pretty quiet. I know that she's got a solid climb on her for this amount of time as well. And when it comes to those who have a golden ticket, Dave, we just heard it's going to be Kolczynski and Bjarhead, right, that do have that. So how does that change things up for this pack, I wonder?
Well, and so yes, that's a great question here because now at this point with that golden ticket and being in this group, you're going to do anything you can to figure out how you can help your team. But I don't know that there's much that you can do in their situation. When you look at it, it's going to be Lindsay Cassie is really stepped up. Get ready to be a big-time star in esports as Lindsay riding up near the front of the group with Lizzie right now. But yeah, it looks like Rose Beast Mode has two. Gabby Schumann. Who's the other Beast Mode rider there? Pia Coomer. Very interesting. So they're all backing off right now. Only about half of this group is going to advance.
Yeah, so 4, I believe it is, do not make it through on this pack. So it's going to be the top 9 from this pack that'll be able to make it through. Correct. And there's 13 in this group. It's the top, I believe, 9 that will make it, because the one off the back is Simmons, who's got the in no matter what.
And she's done so much work. So that's exactly the case, though. So that definitely helps us understand this situation and why we love this format so much. I mean, what a unique day of racing for these women. So if you're in this group, you're in good shape, but you still got some work to do.
Marlene here, looking like she's keeping things pretty calm at 223, 4.5 watts per kilogram. Looks like I wonder if her suffer face is a smile. Once in a while, you know, you've got riders who they smile while they suffer, and it's almost like they smile more the more difficult that it gets. And I have a feeling that Marlene at 182 beats per minute may be that type of rider.
There's almost no chance that we see a rider going from the second group up to the front group now. The gap has gone to 1 minute at this point, Nathan. So that's that. This ship has sailed.
Yeah, it does look like this is absolutely gone. So really at this point, behind though, there are still points up for grabs on Surrey Hills. 1st through 10th are awarded 21 points. So even if the riders here in this group only 9 get through, 10th place still gets an extra point over the top of the riders all the way back to 13th. 11th through 30th are awarded 20 down to 1 point. So the battle is still on for the teams at this point. Now that these riders that have been dropped off and are in the chase groups know that this is gone, and they most likely won't be catching anybody in this front pack, it's going to be more about battling out with the pack that they're with for those points that are left over for 11th through 30th.
The team that really has to be loving this situation is Wahoo LaCool right now, Nathan. I think they have the best shot of making the biggest climb up the table. If they can, really, it's going to come down to if they can put all 3 ladies into that final group of 10, that means almost a third of that final field is their team. What a huge advantage going into that last race. Even if those riders aren't sprinters, because look around you now, Nathan, there's not many sprinters left, to tell you the truth. It's going to be who's the best sprinter out of this very select group of climbers. And that very well could be Kristen Kolchinski, who's, I've heard her talk about not being a sprinter, but when you look at this group, none of these ladies are sprinters per se.
Yeah. You
wouldn't be here.
Well, Verhaeren is here. Verhaeren is my question for Verhaeren, though, Ariel being here, the question is whether or not she can make that top 9 with this group, though, right? Like, she made it over the top, but I know she's been putting in a lot of work. We had her on the wrap 2 weeks ago, actually, and during that conversation, we did have a lot of insight into how she's made her way over from BMX and being an Olympic athlete at the BMX level, going for gold, and then making her transition into the esports world and the kind of differences she has to do in training and getting prepared for this. And she has really made that jump, Dave, when it comes to FTP, VO2 max type efforts versus that quick 30 seconds to a minute that you see in a BMX race.
Well, I would have to say, Nathan, that if you want to project forward here, Haley Simmons, this woman right now is in tremendous position to take the top step of the podium. As a former track racer, she knows how to win, and she's a sprinter, and right now she's recharging her battery. So certainly Haley Simmons has used her brain to put herself in great position as she has a golden ticket, will be in that final, and is on paper not only, so she's attacked a few times out here today, to much success. Her risk has paid off. She's just got to close out the deal. But she goes into that final as my favorite. Sprinter, track experience, come on.
Yeah, Simmons, we'll see how that ends up playing out for her. I do believe she's in and amongst the chase group. Now, Lizzie Brooke, though, she's going to be the first one to make a move as we head into the final 1.6K, and this is going to be the sharper end of these climbs. Brooke and Cassie, Wahoo Nicole, always, they are standout when it comes to their de-essing over and over again in the community as well as in what was the Premier Division, now the Grand Prix. We've seen them make these kind of moves. We see them go together. There was obviously a call out from the team to make a move as they start to head into the sharper sections of this climb. Now over the top, though, Wilkinson, we said she may be waiting for this, and this was the day she was focusing on. It's going to be in London. Wilkinson, Scary Mary, making it happen.
As long as Bjarhed and Kolchinski finish in the top 7, the cutoff will be 9th place as we take a look now at the Tête de la Course. So Mary Wilkinson comes in as one of the top climbers in esports, and here she goes. So at some point you have to cut bait. Kolchinski just doing what she does. Gabby Schumann now moving up into third wheel. Lizzie Brooke 4th, and then that's Pia Coomer sitting in 5th. Oh, boy, it's all on the line here. We're going to move 10 riders and transfer them to Crit City. Who will it be? It's on like Donkey Kong now.
Yeah, and this is huge for Beast Mode presented by Rose because they were lower down, I believe, in 8th place coming into this. What a jump this would be for the Beast Mode team as Schumann sits third wheel right on KK's wheel there. Kolchinski now sitting on Wilkinson. Wilkinson just setting the pace here, though. 6.2 watts per kilogram, 6.3, 347 watts now at this point. The heart rate at 181. This is the section. The moment you see the brick wall, you know that it's on now on this climb. In just a few moments, we're going to see the sprint for the line. And is KK getting dropped by Wilkinson at this point? The separation is there. It's only going to be Wilkinson, Kolchinski, Schumann able to make this as the rest watch them roll away.
If you're KK, aren't you smarter to let yourself be dropped? Because you've already made it with that golden ticket. So I would think that recharging a bit for the next race would be more important.
100%, Dave. I think you're right there. Sitting in, just making sure you're secure with anything that goes, but don't take the lead. Great call there, Dave. Maybe sprint for the fun of it at the end here, but really, as long as she follows anybody that gives it a go, there's really, exactly. I agree. But also, there's also the why when it's over the top with the golden ticket if she has this kind of confidence. So far, from what I've seen from Kolchinski, she just wants to show she's the strongest sometimes, and that may be what happens.
Yeah, she just needs to stay in the top 10 really to get the max points. And the other thing that you have to remember is maybe she's trying to drop better sprinters at the back of this group. That could be if she sees someone's in trouble. But right now it's every woman for herself on this climb. It's going to be down to under 600 meters to go now.
Yeah, and here we go. It's going to be the breakaway from Kolchinski and Wilkinson. Schumann's been dropped at this point. Lindsay Cassie alongside of, it looks like Gabriella Schumann trying to hold on, but there's the face of KK really pushing it out now. Perhaps has met her match on a climb here at this point. Wilkinson's been putting in the work, obviously, now. Now we've got our top 2 climbers in the world of esports on the women's side, and Wilkinson goes again. 6 watts per kilogram here, Dave, looking to try and show that she is the woman that's going to win in London, perhaps. Will KK be able to respond? Cassie now coming through from Wahoo Nicole, too, in third place, sitting on. Is he going to pull a Zach Neer situation that we saw last week? The invisibility from Kolchinski, though, at 5'5", perhaps not going to be able to see coming by, but nope, she just grabs on the wheel. But Cassie rolls up at 6, Dave. 7 watts per kilogram from Lindsay Cassie.
So for Lindsay Cassie, this is huge, and this is a welcome to the big time as she goes up and over the top of Mary Wilkinson. But I think Scary Mary realizes that there is absolutely no reason to panic here. Just stay in this rhythm. We're down to about 200 meters to go. At this point, they can see the finish gantry. So it's not about winning today. It's about making this ultimate selection, and that's exactly what it is 10 riders advancing into the next race. We're going to heading into fast and furious sprinting going on in Crit City, but one rider that we know will advance is, well, everybody on your screen we know will advance at this point, but one golden ticket already rolling through. The other that was in this group was the Movistar rider Bjarhed. Haley Simmons also with the golden ticket, but now it's time to start sending riders through to the final race of 3 here today in the Zwift Grand Prix. Lindsay Cassie, you are my hero. What a ride today.
And there's Wilkinson for second. It's going to be Kolchinski for third. Schumann coming through with the burrito power-up in fourth. Useni grabbing fifth, it looks like, just crossing the
Verhaeren.
line. I believe it was Verhaeren. What a ride from Verhaeren, position 8. So it's Brooke, followed by Kolkloff. Donnie, I think, cut off here at this point, but we'll have to wait and see on the official results. Simnick through, Paul still climbing. It looks like Coomer just getting through in 12th place in just a moment. So now lots of points still up for grabs and a lot of time still, Dave, for a lot of these riders to get to the line.
I have a feeling Charlotte will be the last rider to go through, but they're crunching the data at Zwift HQ right now. So 10 riders will be taking a start. So Nathan, now's a good time to ask. I know I asked earlier and we went right into some action, but what are you doing at this point? Do you stay on the bike and keep pedaling? Do you actually get off the bike? You race at this level.
Definitely going to be getting in some sugar. The amount of racing that's been going on at the level that it's been going on, sugar and water. As much as my stomach can take in without overloading it before the next race. They're going to have a few minutes here. I think
so it's really
5 to 10
fueling
minutes before the start of the next race. Fueling up, and I would keep spinning. The reason being, I would not be getting off the bike at all, Dave. I would be spinning the legs to make sure the blood is moving through and taking those resources that I'm getting into my body directly into the legs and trying to reload as much as I possibly can, because you've used up so much of what is that nitro of the body, the glycogen, the sugar that they're going to be wanting to get in right now.
All right, well, let's take a look at the riders that are going to advance into our final race here. It was 10 riders. We talked about the 3 golden tickets, and there they are right on top. Kristen Kolchinski, Haley Simmons, and Biarritz. It's going to be Cassie, Wilkinson, Schumann, Useni, Verhaeren, Brooke, and Kolkloff. These are the 10 that make it into our final. What a battle it's been just to get here, Nathan.
Whew, and that was absolutely brutal, Dave. I mean, the reality, I was so glad those live cams really gave a view, Dave, of how difficult this racing actually is. That was just all gloves off. And I really loved to see how things ended up playing out between Lindsay Cassie, Mary Wilkinson, and Kristen Kolchinski. The question is, though, at this point, Dave, right? They really put that stamp of dominance over the top a few of those riders, but who saves something for the next race? That's a great point you made, Dave, about, look, just need to get through. It's the same points across through this top 10. So why not save a little something for Crit City? Because you might have won over the top of the climb, an amazing performance, not taking anything away from that at all. But do you still have something when it comes to the elimination when we get into Crit City?
And how can you look past Haley Simmons' ride out here today? She's been certainly beyond Kristen Kolchinski, I'd say the most aggressive. She's animated both of the races that we've had so far. She comes in. So the thing about track racing that so applies in esports is that you have so many finishes. When you go and train on the track, you sprint for wins 30, 40, 50 times in a session when you're doing points racing, and you just learn how to win sprints. It becomes part of your DNA, to be honest. And that's why I'm really looking at Haley Simmons as my rider to take top points out here. But this is a team sport, and it's going to come down to what your teammates have done already and what your teammates can do if you have any, if you're lucky enough to have any in this final group of 10. And Nathan, there are some teams that didn't advance anyone into this final group of 10. There's actually multiple teams that didn't advance anyone into this final group of 10. So this is the point now in week 2 for the women where the rich get richer.
Yeah, we're going to take a look at how that happened now with a little bit of a replay from Leith Hill, and how Lindsay Cassie, we said watch out for her when it came to the climbing, and talk about patience, Dave. I mean, she waited and waited for this final moment, made sure the striking distance was there, and bam, over the top with 6-7 watts per kilogram, made that final kick, knew she was within that last 300 to 500 meters, and bam, Wahoo Lacole off the front. Lindsay Cassie, a new all-star climber amongst this group, the top level of women. Mary there holding on. I think Kristen Kolchinski now just waiting for that next round, but now it's the battle to try and pull back Lindsay Cassie. I think that Mary Wilkinson really wanted this win out here, but Cassie says no. Wahoo Lacole is going to take down Leith Hill.
I can just imagine Josh Lipka in Discord saying, "KK, you can sit up now. You can," and she's like, "No, I'm good. I'm comfortable." Just continuing to race. You could finally see in that last 200 meters that that was when she just let it go and said, "Okay, we'll be back for that final race of 10." You know, when you look at it now, riders like Mary Wilkinson, well regarded for her climbing ability, these riders have a lot more range here in the modern era of esports that we're in, and it's really hard to pigeonhole them as just sprinters or climbers.
We're going to be taking a look at the team points now, and Wahoo Lacole taking down 74 points in race 2. It's going to be Aeonian there with 59. Toyota Cryo DT sitting in 3rd right now with 54 points. Saris No Pins with 4th place at 46 points. Beast Mode presented by Rose, 40 points for them. It's going to be Virginia Blue Ridge 2024 in 6th place right now with 36 points. Movistar E-Team, 34 points in 7th. Coalition Alpha, 31 points in 8th. Soxwats, 26 points in 9th. And Team Swedish Zwifters right now with 20 points, 10th place as it stands. So Wahoo Lacole really getting a gap here in race number 2 for the team points, Dave.
I got to take my cap off to Ariel Verhaeren. She went to the 2012 Olympics in London. She's in Salt Lake City, which is not it's not as high as Leadville, Colorado, but it's still 6,000 feet of altitude where she is, which would transfer into, let's call it 2,000, just under 2,000 meters. So she's doing a really good job of keeping Aeonian's head above water out here as she does make the final. And it's also, I would think, Nathan, especially with her BMX background, another sport where you sprint and win over and over in your training, much like the velodrome, the track racing I was talking about, another rider that should give Haley Simmons a run for her money out here.
Yeah, I would definitely call those two, as far as the fast twitch muscles go, and their experience with fast twitch muscle racing, they're going to be the favorites coming in. Those don't go away easily. And with the way that I know that Ariel Verhaeren came up in cycling through BMXing from a very young age, I'd be watching out for her. She's been able to transfer over to this esport in Zwift racing very well. Obviously has gotten her climbing legs. You do lose a little bit when you do get into that more of your FTP VO2 max type rider, but I don't think that fast twitch has gone too far for her. The only thing is going to be about repeatability and tactics and what they can bring to the line against these other 8 riders.
There's an old saying in cycling, Nathan, that when a sprinter is climbing well, they're sprinting well too, because they're in very good shape. And I think that would apply to Verhaeren right now.
Yeah, I think 100%. The ability to go over the top over and over again with the sprint, I have a feeling beyond the watch out for that. Now, this Crit City course, though, very difficult, Dave, when it comes to how quickly the eliminations will be coming at the riders. I mean, essentially, you've got an elimination followed up by elimination followed by elimination within a K or two of each other over and over and over again. And, you know, I talked to a few of the athletes after the men's race, and I asked the question of, like, was it about just pure fitness and your repeatability of efforts? And they were like, yes, but also no. It was about being as smart as you possibly could and not being first across the line always, but making sure you just made it through so that when the real move mattered, you could make it.
That pretty much sums up the entire day as well, doesn't it? If you think about it, it wasn't necessarily about winning at this point. It's been just being there to keep moving on. Life is about being in position to be in position to be in position to win. And that's exactly what these riders have done to this point. I mean, it really is that one of the things that's changed so much is, instead of just an exercise contest, this has turned into much, much more of a thinking person's race. And I tell you what, Nathan, when you look at where we're at now, I have to say Wahoo Lacole and Movistar. These have been the 2 teams to me that have been the most impressive in the racing we've seen to this point. Can they have the continuance to carry that on into our final race? And they don't have to necessarily win outright. If Movistar puts 2 in the top 4, that should be awfully good for them.
Yeah, it's a great point because you do see that Movistar E-Team there in second place. Aeonian only have Ariel Valhan second place in the series overall, right? So they've got two riders in the final now. They have a huge opportunity here. Wahoo Lacole as well, looking to move their way up the ranks. They've got two riders in Lizzie Brooke and Lindsay Cassie in there, but then it's Ariel Verharn versus them as the top ranked team. Can she try and bump the team up or at least hold their spot currently where they stand? So we'll have to see. I think we're going to look at some more points here, Dave, in just a second and take a look here at the round points, for the totals so far. Wahoo Lacole really walking away. I don't know if there's enough points up for grabs at this point to unseat them from that spot. It's really about Sarah Snowpins and Aeonian battling out for that second place, it looks like, followed up by Toyota Cryo DT within 10 points, under 10 points of third.
So really speaks to the depth out here because you can see Movistar, even though they've got two riders in the final 10, the rest of the team wasn't there to collect enough points to keep them up on top of the table. Wahoo Lacole put all 5 riders into the second race and then transferred another 2. So this looks like a great day for the WLC. Aeonian in second now, and they do have, we talked about Ariel, into the final. Sarah Snowpins sitting in third with 141 points, just 2 points behind Aeonian. Toyota Cryo RDT in fourth, Beast Mode fifth, Virginia Blue Ridge 2024 sitting in sixth now, Socks for Watts seventh, Swedish Swifters eighth, Coalition Alpha ninth, Movistar E-Team in 10th, Roca Corba Collective in 11th, and poor Aero just not quite having their day today.
Now, looking at Movistar E-Team and where they're at, currently being the second place in the series, but in this right now, 10th place. But some of these teams that are between Socks for Watts and Team Swedish Swifters don't have anyone advancing. So the best case scenario for Movistar right now is 17 points. That would bring them up to 87 and tied right now. That would make them tied with 2024 if Kristen Kolchinski gets 0. I don't see that happening, as Kolchinski most likely will grab some points, I would assume, right? But that would at least be able to jump them up. If they grab some good points, it is an opportunity at this point to get up to 6th or 7th place with the best case scenario. So they are in 10th right now, but they do have an opportunity to jump up a little bit, which would secure them in a better spot in the series overall, because right now they're in risk of coming off the podium and even lower if they stay in that 10th. So it's really good that they got Simmons across as well as Jarheed into this final round.
And they're going to be really looking for those top points from the riders that they advanced as well. And it'll genuinely really, I use the term keeping their head above water. It'll be a big moment for them to stay in contention. We're only into race number 2 of the Zwift Grand Prix, and already you can see how competitive it's going to be, Nathan. I mean, what a high level we are witnessing out here. I mean, let's talk about the fact, absolute stunner that Liz Van Houweling, stunner to me, that Liz Van Houweling didn't make it into this group of 10, but it goes to show you get caught behind the wrong wheel at the wrong time, and it can happen to the best of us.
Yeah, it's a great point. We're going to take a look at the graphic for the next race. Jarheed getting through over the top of Van Houweling for this race. Very tactical move, I believe, here. But now this is it. Race number 3, 7.7 kilometers, only 64 meters of elevation. It's an elimination race. Lap 1, the first arch. Bam! Out the back. Goodbye to a rider right into the lap arch all the way through for 4 laps. And then it's going to come down to 3 riders remaining, and that will be your podium sprinting it for the line. And amazing. I love this. This is essentially the World Championships that we will be seeing next, this coming up World Championships with the UCI, actually. The top 3 riders decided in a final sprint. It really puts it all on the line, Dave. The power-ups, Aero, Invisibility, Burrito, and Draft. It makes it both a disruption and a speed game when it comes to the power-ups now.
Yeah, that's a pretty straight-ahead mix of power-ups out there. You certainly have a feeling that it's such a small group as well by the time you get down to that rolling podium of our top 3 here. And again, the points aren't that different either, so it's a survival game out here again, just making it through sprint after sprint. Very thematic to what this day has been all about in this outstanding format. So welcome to Crit City, everybody. 10 riders remain out here as we'll head down to another, of course, it's certainly I would call infamous out here, but eliminating 2 riders per lap, this is going to be brutal. Just no rest for the weary.
Yeah, and I do think that that whole idea of being in the right place at the right time, trusting to grab as many points as you possibly can, because your elimination placing is how many points that you're going to be awarded. It's 9 points the first, all the way down to 0 points for the first rider that's going to be eliminated. So you really don't want to be that first rider. It's going to be really tactical, I think, leading into that first sprint, because they all have obviously proven that they're very, very strong riders out here, Dave. And so how these riders play this out, and 0 points going into this after all that work to be here, oh man, it's going to be interesting how they make moves. Is somebody going to go early, not wanting to risk it? Wanting to just inch in, or is it going to be all in on that first one just to say, look, I am not putting my race on the line at this point, especially if you don't have the confidence up against some of these other riders for the later sprints?
How much of a factor is it that Haley Simmons has had a larger break here than the other riders, Nathan? As I hear now that we're within about a half minute of start, this has to play into her favor in a major way.
I think it's huge. I actually think that maybe knowing that she couldn't compete, I mean, the level that we saw going over the top, I mean, with only the 8 riders making it, I think her ability to just sit up and say, look, it's fine. I don't need to climb insane at this point. It's going to be really key here for Movistar. We're going to jump right down into the racing, though. They're going to be getting the Go banner dropping out on Crit City. Here we go. The bell lap, left-hand turn here for the riders, and immediately Wahuliko leading things out. Quickly, Dave, the first elimination happens at that intermediate sprint. Right-hand turn here, Dave, and this is an interesting little climb every lap.
Wouldn't the tactic here, Nathan, if you believe you have no sprint at all, that you just attack and at least try to get 1 point by not being eliminated in the first sprint? I would think. But that would mean that you're not betting on yourself. And I think that these riders have to bet on yourself. If you're able to make it into this level, you've got to know that you're talented. But does a director tell you that? 1 point better than no points.
It's very risky. We have seen many times a rider try and make that move and find themselves very quickly swarmed by a pack that put them as the eliminated rider. So yeah, it's risky. If you trust yourself for it, you could do it.
Yeah, it's interesting. You're trusting. It's an interesting tactic, that's for sure. But it looks like we're going to play this one straight up as here we go. Only a little over 7K of racing, but you do not want to leave your seat here, as this is going to be, as they say, fast and furious. So here we go. It's coming up.
Going to be a quick little left-hand turn. Right in front of them is going to be that sprint banner. It's actually within about 300 meters. Nobody's even made a move at this point. Here we go. Now it's going to be the first one to go. WLC with Lindsay Cassie leading things out, and that may just grab it for her. Who's going to be the last one across the line? Simmons trying to go, and it looks like no, not going to be able to make it. Haley Simmons, first one to be eliminated from the group now. Only at 5.2 watts per kilogram. Maybe just, I mean, did she grab some points perhaps over Reese Hill? But Simmons out.
Yeah, confirming it is Simmons. That's a shocker to me. I had her in as the rider most anticipated to win after everything that we've seen. So obviously that last interval between race 2 and race 3 did not go her way.
Wilkinson now taking over at the front, but only at 2.8 watts per kilogram, just to slow things down. Next one to be eliminated in just a moment here, Dave. It's going to be all about recover and repeat. At this point, you really are going to be struggling for air. It's going to be how much you can get back into the system in order to kick again, over and over again. Later in this race, it's going to be more about that, Dave, than anything else.
Well, I hate to put the Dave Toll kiss of death on anyone at this point, but you'd think that Ariel Verhaeren, the rider in the blue, green, and magenta there in the middle of your screen, would be very, very well set up as she's sitting at the back of the group and actually getting dropped. So there you go. She's going to make the move to come around here, it looks like.
Wilkinson, I believe, going to be the one to be eliminated as Mary Wilkinson responding very late. And this is a timing thing, Dave. They're letting it go too late. And it looks to me like because of the way that this is ramping up, riders are responding late because of the jump happening so quickly to the line, and they're getting the advantage taken on them there, it looks like. Again, another surprise, Wilkinson. But with this top level, Dave, it's almost not a surprise of anybody getting eliminated, and Verhaeren almost getting caught out there with her timing.
We've talked about Kristen Kolchinski being absolutely relentless, and I'm a believer, to tell you the truth. Kolchinski of the Virginia Blue Ridge team might just wear this entire field down out here. Lindsay Cassie's definitely up for the fight, no doubt about it. Morgan Yuseni sitting up there as well. What a list of riders this is. As Charlotte Kolkloff has had a fantastic day today. That's going to be Lizzie Brooke, the Wahoo Lacole rider sitting at the back of the group. Wahoo Lacole, 2 riders here. Let's see if they can keep 2 in the mix. Movistar was unable to do that as they lost Simmons early here. So we're whittling it down. Another sprint coming up, Nathan.
Yeah, and it's Kolchinski in the front now being overtaken by Kolkloff. Here comes an invisibility power-up actually from one of the riders. It's going to be Schumann actually using invisibility power-up now, looking to go over the top of the rest of the riders. Looks like she's going to secure a spot, and it's actually going to be Kolchinski. Kolchinski gets eliminated here, Dave. What a surprise over and over again. We have seen upset after upset. Is it the timing? Is it just the wearing out of the legs, Dave? I mean, the reality of how much these riders have already gone through has really starting to show up in this final race.
Well, it's the unpredictability of the racing. I think that's making it so phenomenal out here. This is bananas, what we're witnessing. And now it has become a group. I mean, it's really, really unique to have a group of 7 with really only one of the riders has, I'm using air quotes, a sprinter's background per se. This is going to be fun, but we got to eliminate yet another rider. Again, we'll continue to eliminate every half lap until we're down to 3. Then they sprint for those finishing positions out of that group.
And we've been noticing Lindsay Cassie's been riding from the front, the Wahoo Lacole rider, making the jumps here and leading things out, maybe trying to make sure that they do not get overtaken or put in a bad position with these jumps. Now Schumann, you see at the back here, playing it savvy perhaps, or is she going to get caught out? It's going to be about the timing here. Cassie, again, riding from the front, 4.4. The jump going to come early. Here comes an invisibility power-up. It's going to be Yuseni going. Now it's already a gap here. Verhaeren, Kolkloff, Schumann trying to come over the top here, and it's going to be Kolkloff. Charlotte looks to be off the back, gapped immediately. The timing just wasn't there. No, there's just nothing left in the legs. 8.6 watts per kilogram, so low comparatively. These riders are just getting burnt to crisp and saying enough is enough, it looks like, Dave, over and over again.
I cannot say enough about Lizzie Brooke. I mean, this woman just did the Ironman World Championships in Kona. Then I assume she's flown back to the United Kingdom. She may still be in Kona. I don't know that I'd leave Kona at this time of year, but I mean, here she is still in the fight. This is an incredible ride from Lizzie Brooke here. Wahoo Lacole still got 2 in this group. They certainly are the team of the day here today. That's going to be Ariel Verhaeren that we're looking at. So she's made her way down into the final 6 riders out here. Verhaeren, Lindsay Cassie has certainly, I would say that she's been our breakthrough rider out of this Grand Prix series so far.
Verhaeren now making her way to the front. It's going to be, again, Cassie riding from the front over and over again, just taking over. We do see Brooke now sitting in, waiting the next sprint within 300 meters at this point. Schumann on the left. Verhaeren, maybe the first one to go. Verhaeren now up to 5.4 watts per kilogram. Here comes a drafting power up from Jarheed. She's going to make things a little bit easier on herself. Now an invisibility power up by Brooke. Now this is all on the line here. The go. It's going to be Cassie. Yuseni going with an arrow power up. She's got that in the bank. No, because of that power up, it looks like, but now an invisibility power up. Verhaeren unable to respond. And it's going to be Verhaeren off the back. It's down to 5, Dave. Schumann, Yuseni, Brooke. It's going to be Cassie still in the mix. And our last rider, Jarheed. That's it. It's 5 now at this point with just a little ways to go. 3K to go. 2.9K to go, Dave, at this point. Cassie, though, with invisibility, she's got 5.5 off the front. Is she making a break for it, Dave, as her teammate sits up?
And that's got to be a benefit for Lizzie Brooke now because she can sit on this chase. Hopefully, this would be absolutely incredible if Wahoo Nicole can put 3 or 2 riders into the final 3. They're trying to certainly write that book right now. So you can see that it looks like they're not going to make that catch. Lindsay Cassie, a phenomenal talent, has gone. Gabby Schumann, Lizzie Brooke, and Morgan Useni right now looking to chase this one back. Marlene Bjarhead is moving up right next to Gabby Schumann.
Schumann, now she made a little bit of an effort there for a moment up at the 4 watts per kilogram. Now backs off the 2.3 and looking for the back of the pack here at this point. It's going to be all about the jump and sitting at the correct wheel, correct time. To back off, they're letting Cassie go. They don't want to chase that at all. They know that Brooke is in here as well. They don't want to give a free wheel to Lindsay, to Brooke here at this point, because if Lizzie Brooke just sits in and over sprints you,
now
the reality is it's over for you at this point. Now she goes. It's going to be a 3-up sprint against each other because they're gone. Here comes the invisibility power-up. Will Schumann be able to hold on with Useni on her line? It's right to the line here, Dave. Useni trying to come over the top. Will she do it? It's going to be Movistar versus Useni versus Beast Mode. And so Useni, I believe. Oh, it's Useni, Dave.
Useni eliminated. Yep. So, wow, what a sprint. We're down to it, Nathan. So, Lindsay Cassie is up the road right now, remembering that she's not waiting around for anyone. If these ladies sit up after the sprint, they're letting the race win go, and it's gone. Lindsay Cassie is gone. So, it looks like only 2 of these 3 are going to make it into the final.
Yeah, and it is going to be the top 3 that are the podium for the day here. Cassie is gone 12 seconds, 13 seconds. The race is over for first. It's a race for second at this point, Dave, and there's an elimination coming at this next arch. Lizzie Brooke sitting in. She did the jump first, and then she was caught by the rest of the riders that came across with the speed that gave her a little extra time, perhaps, to rest up as she sits on the wheel of Schumann, and it's going to be Jarheed off of the left there, not getting not getting any draft currently as she looks to get and slot in on Schumann's wheel.
I have to say that right now, Wahoo Nicole is putting on an absolute clinic on how to ride the Elimination Omnium. I mean, what a tremendous job they've done. That's going to be invisibility from Lizzie Brooke, invisibility from Lizzie Brooke.
Visibility from Lizzie Brooke. Jarheed has a drafting power-up. That's going to maybe call it curtains for Schumann if she doesn't get it. Look at the jump. Schumann at 10 watts per kilogram says, forget it. I just have to get to the line. And now here comes Jarheed's going to overtake Lizzie Brooke, perhaps. Right to the line, though, and Schumann gave up early, it looks like. Schumann out, and it looks like that's going to be our next elimination. Now it's a race for the podium as it's going to be Jarheed versus Brooke as Cassie is gone, 23 seconds up, and she's going to be finishing them any moment at this point. It's a race for second between Jarheed and Brooke.
Can you imagine if Wahoo Nicole is able to go 1-2 out here today? That, I mean, couldn't really write that finale in any kind of book, but they very well could do it. It's a 2-up sprint for second, and that's what we're watching. Remembering that Lindsay Cassie is up the road. She's literally half a minute up the road, or nearly that at this point. So the chicken has flown the coop. These two, and certainly looking to make history today, is Wahoo Nicole. It's Movistar here for Marlene Bjarheed, who's going to be fighting. Every point is going to matter. It's a long Grand Prix. We're into race number 2. This is the final moment here to make your mark. So Cassie takes the win. That's done and dusted. Who's going to end up with the silver, Nathan?
As she crosses the line, the track stand starts, and there goes Jarheed. She says, forget this. I'm not sitting around and going to watch you at the low watts. I'm just going to try and break you early. And Marlene Jarheed forward, the Movistar E-team, kicking at 10 watts per kilogram in the saddle, not standing up, just driving it. Lizzie Brooke still making an effort to come across. Lizzie does not give up. She's still kicking 8 watts per kilogram, but I think it's said and done with a second, Dave. Marlene makes it happen for second, but it's going to be Lizzie Brooke for third, and it's Wahoo Nicole going first and third. Huge effort there, though, from Marlene Jarheed going up against that Wahoo Nicole team and getting second place there up ahead of Lizzie Brooke. Wow, what a race, Dave. One of the most exciting formats we have ever seen in this Zwift racing. Great to see this in the Grand Prix with the women.
Yeah, I would have to say, with the men's Omnium and the women's Omnium format that we've seen here, this elimination game is so much fun to watch. It's got to be brutal to be out there racing, but that's 100% what our racers have been looking for. They helped design this format of racing, and it's really paying off for everyone. I have to say, the excitement level is through the roof, Nathan. Haven't ever seen anything like this. Esports is having its moment here with the Grand Prix.
Yeah, and as we saw there, this variation on the elimination, Dave, and what we have to look forward to, this is so exciting because this is exactly similar to what we're going to be seeing with World Championships. And with this top level of women we just saw, you got an idea of the who and the what and the how that's going to be happening with this new format. I absolutely love this, Dave.
I can only imagine our director sportives and the top minds in esports right now just trying to figure out exactly how to make this all work. And yeah, it's a very, very exciting time, no doubt. A lot of surprises out here today as well. So, Nathan, they talk about parity and having so many teams. I mean, look what Movistar did out here today. It wasn't just Wahoo Lacole, although I'll tip my cap to one of the greatest team performances that we've seen in the Grand Prix or outside of the Grand Prix. Is again, this is relatively fresh racing in this format, but you can look back through the ZRL through almost 7 seasons, and this goes down as one of the better team performances that we've ever seen today.
Yeah, and the way that this is going to end up playing out at the end of the day with Wahoo Lacole having those 2 riders in the finish, they came in as the top points into this final round. We, as you had said so far, it was a clinic by Wahoo Lacole. Again and again, the tactics that played out in a team Omnium, they just know how to run this format. And being first and third at the end, the tactics that were able to be played out for them, absolutely love to see that. You got to give props to their DS as well, Dave. I mean, really,
Sure.
without that in their ears, knowing how the moves are being made, knowing when to go, how to play the tactics out. And we've said this many times in the community whenever they're racing, they really know how to play the game. I love to see that it's the matching of their ability to play the game, to know the game, alongside an amazing fitness level coming from Wahoo Lacole right now.
Yeah, and it really, Nathan, another thing that I'm noting is how these teams have realized that it used to be you could get away with 2 top riders and then some bit players on your team. Now you've got to have that depth. You really do. It's the 3rd and 4th riders on these teams that are making the difference now. And it's always been that way in the ZRL, but now we're really finding that the recruiting of riders, building a esprit de corps on your team, and to be fair, Kristen Kolchinski deserves a shout out today with her ride, and they're doing that over at Virginia Blue Ridge, redoubling their effort. And it benefits all of us to enjoy more competitive racing out here. And in this new format, all of these things are coming together right now. It's a magical time for racing, no doubt about it. And these women really put on a show out here. You can't ask for more than that from the Gladiators of Zwift.
Yeah, looking back, at the racing throughout the day today too, the way that the riders were able to get themselves in the right position to score the most points. You know, early on in the race, we weren't saying the Wahoo Lacole all that much when it came to the big moves early on in Richmond. We didn't see them necessarily risking a whole lot, but the rewards were there later on in this race, obviously, when they really put the pedal to the metal, essentially, when they really just pressed the pace when they needed to get the most out of this. It goes to show that taking a look at what's to come, really figuring out what your tactic is going to be, being able to adjust on the fly, but then still execute on what your plans were. That's what Wahoo Lacole showed up and did today. But then also the individual riders. We talked a lot in the pre-show about the idea of the more focus on the teams, the more focus on the individual riders and what they're bringing to the table, because every single point that they grab matters. And as you said, Kristen Kolchinski and everything that she did for Virginia's Blue Ridge 2024 was absolutely crucial to keep them in the play for the series points overall. We're already be taking a look at the round 1 total here, though, across the board for all the points that have been gained. Dave, let's take a look at this now.
Round 2 total we'll be taking a look at here as the supercomputer has been crunching the numbers. There's a lot of data points to look at out here. It's been fun having the golden ticket in the mix as well. So let's see how the points stacked up as Wahoo Lacole does move to the top of the table now with 190 points out here today. Aeonian, great job as they hold on by 1 point there, Saris No Pins. 137 points in 4th place for Toyota Cryo. Beast Mode into 4th. So it's going to be Coalition Alpha in 5th, Virginia Blue Ridge in 6th, Sox for Watts 7th, Swedish Swifters 8th, Movistar 9th, Roca Corba 10th, and Arrow in 11th there. But you can see Wahoo Cole getting it done out here today.
Yeah, we are going to be looking at the series totals now. After we take a look at how things played out on the day today, let's see how that impacted where things are at now. Aeonian and Ariel Verhaeren has kept them in that spot, I believe, at this point. Those efforts she put into that final round have kept Aeonian, because it was a 1-point difference, as we saw in this round number 2. Now, Wahoo Cole, they bumped themselves way up, actually. One spot up here.
They were
second
5th,
place.
right?
SARS, no pins. I believe that they were 3rd, actually, coming in. And then I believe SARS, no pins, though, with a really big jump, as we see them going all the way from 8th place up to 3rd place now. Movistar E-Team drop, it looks like, down to 4th for where they're standing right now. Tied in points, but I think since SARS No Pins were ahead of them on the round, they get the 3rd place. Then Beast Mode with a big jump as well, with the huge effort out here today for 5th place. Tied across the board, though, it looks like, for 5th, 6th, and 7th there, with Virginia Blue Ridge 2024 and Sox for Watts, Dave. Really cool to see how these teams are making it's not just one team walking away over and over again. Everybody's kind of in the play here still from only 2 weeks. I have the feeling we're going to see changes throughout the entirety of the season. Priority T there with 13 points in 8th. Coalition Alpha in 9th at 10 points, tied with Team Swedish Zwifters. Roca Cobra Collective and Arrow there, 11th and 12th.
Next week, we've got squad skirmish. There's a lot to look forward to. And with the point structure that we have now, Nathan, you can see that teams will be able to make some big jumps if they can get it together here. So there's still a lot in play. That's only 2 races in the Grand Prix, but you can see that there's some teams that are hungry to make their mark out here.
Yeah, 6 races in total. So we still have 4 more rounds, Dave, of new formats to check out. I mean, this is so, I feel like we've already done championship races, right? Like, this is it. This is it. The excitement is obviously the head-to-head. The battles that we're seeing are playing out in front of us. I really feel like we're hitting our stride when it comes to cycling and esports mixing with each other, Dave.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more, Nathan. And I mean, it's great. We're starting to develop these stars in the sport, and the teams are developing their own identities as well. And it's been really, really fun to watch this process. Squad skirmish is going to be very interesting as well. As you alluded to during the broadcast, the format we saw today, that's really very close to what we're going to be seeing a lot more of in the World Championship. But after a great day of racing, Nathan, I'm hungry for more, and I'm sure the men are ready to get back out there next week. I love this format as well of alternating between the men and women each week.
Yep. Next week, we'll be in the squad skirmish for round number 3. And don't forget that you can do your own racing out on Zwift. The Race Like a Champ C Racing Series Stage 2 has started. We've also got, obviously, the final stage next week of the Zwift Racing League on Tuesday. Next week, squad skirmish, though. Make sure to be tuning in with us for Friday next week. The men will be doing a new format for you to check out. Now, for everything when it comes to racing out on Zwift, head on over to Zwift.com/racing to check out everything that is going on that you can get involved with and try and take on maybe some of these riders or riders that are around you in your community out on Zwift to check out what racing is all about. Thanks a lot for everybody for tuning in. We've absolutely loved having you here. We've been watching the comments. It's awesome to have this community around this. And as always, everybody, ride on.